All right, we're live here at Buffalo Trace Distillery for another episode of Whiskey Wednesday. Today we have Master Distiller Harlen Wheatley. How are you, Harlen?
I'm doing good. Today we're going to show a little bit of insight on our stills. You know, with Buffalo Trace, we're kind of known for a lot of different things, and one of them is variety. And we offer a lot of different types of whiskeys and a lot of different types and even different classes like vodka, and we distill all of it on site. And in order for us to be able to do that, we got to have a lot of variety of stills. So here at Buffalo Trace we have 9 different stills on site, and what it does, it gives us ultimate flexibility. We can distill, we can distill 1 barrel at a time, or we can distill up to 1,000 barrels a day or more. So it just depends on what products we're making for the day, and what we need to make, and we're lucky enough to plan ahead, and we're able to make multiple products at the same time. So we can make bourbons and whiskeys on one still, and then run vodkas through another still, and then we can also experiment. So we have a lot of experimental products that we're making and thinking about, and so we're able to go in depending on the recipe and make very small batches and distill them all separately while we're running our main production, because the bourbon stills never shut down. We run them 7 days a week, continuously operating and just trying to make the bourbon on a daily basis. We do a lot of management of the stills with our computer system. This is a depiction of our micro still operation, and where we're doing it really 300 barrel or 300 gallon batches, and typically we have about a 2,500 gallon fermenter that we're using to ferment different experimental batches, and we can run anywhere from 3 to 4 barrels a day on this still if we needed to, and it just depends on the experiment. And we have a full-time operation on this, so it's running every day. We're making products throughout the year. And then we also, of course, have our big still operation. It makes all of our whiskeys. We double distill all of our whiskeys and bourbons. That way we're getting the cleanest, most consistent whiskeys we can. And of course we're running that every day. And then we have our platinum still, we call it. It's where we make our platinum vodka, and we have 3 stills in there running all the time, making vodka. And of course we have our vodka still, where we bring the corn in, ferment, distill it, and get it up to 190 plus proof, and we're able to make vodka out of that. So all these stills are designed again to give us ultimate flexibility, make a wide variety of products. We'll kind of walk through them.
Yeah, on the computer system here, what is it telling us? What's some of the technology behind it, and what are you looking at?
Well, we're not monitoring every single variable, but we have all the important variables on there, like flow rate, steam pressure, product proof, the amount that we're making, tank levels. That way, there's no surprises throughout the day, and the main thing for us is consistency. It's all about the quality of the product, and this is the biggest beer still in the business. It's a 7-foot diameter, 30-foot tall beer still, and for us, in order for us to maintain that and run it properly, the computer system allows us to manage that. And then all the stills are the same way. We've got all on the same system where we can monitor that operation.
So typically every day, are you running every still every single day?
No, not every day. On the vodka still we run as needed. The platinum still we do run it every day, and the bourbon stills are run every day. Sometimes experimental still be down for cleaning or whatever, but the bourbons and the vodka is running every day, but not all 9 at the same time.
Sure. Okay. Great. Well, let's go.
Yeah, we'll walk through and check them out.
And just so people know, I mean, we're in the fermentation rooms. So these are big fermenters here. And we gotta go through, there's a lot of action today.
Yeah, this one's ready to distill. It'll end up being our wheated bourbon. And and that's what we're running today.
Smells good. Smells like beer.
Of course, we can monitor from a lot of different locations too, depending on where the operators are for the day, and they need to monitor the operation.
Gotcha.
So we've got these monitors throughout the operation.
So good little peek at all the fermenters there.
So this is Rachel. She's watching our micro still operation, and we've got some things going through. Sometimes it's experimental, sometimes it's a vodka, sometimes just depends on what we have on the schedule, and she's watching it closely. This is where we do some of our small fermentations.
And what size is this compared to what we just saw out there?
About a 2,400 gallon fermenter, and out there is a 92,000 gallons. So
quite a bit bigger.
We're able to, you know, experiment and do smaller batches.
Yeah.
And then you run multiple batches through the still, you know, 300 gallons at a time.
So this one's running now.
I think she's heating it up, yeah.
Getting it heated up. So is this a hybrid between a pot and a column, or what?
It is a hybrid, so we can run, it's complete versatility. We can run a small batch through the still. We can bypass the column. We can use the column and make a vodka. So we have complete flexibility. We can pull off of trays. It just depends on what we're trying to make for the day.
Yeah, it says 250 gallon still. What's your biggest still compared to this one?
That one over there is about a 60,000 gallon still that we use on a daily basis.
Yeah, quite a bit bigger. I got a couple questions for you, Harlen.
Yeah.
One of them, honestly, there's 3 or 4 people asking the same. What's the difference between the biggest difference between a pot still and a column still?
Yeah, the main difference on a pot still and a column still, traditionally a column still is run continuously, and a pot still, you put all the alcohol in there at one time, and then you distill it over slowly. So you'll take a head's cut, a tail's cut, and it changes throughout the distillation. On a continuous still, you charge that still with a continuous flow, and then it maintains consistency as you're distilling it.
Gotcha.
So the main difference is it's, you know, batch versus continuous. That's the main
Okay,
difference.
yeah. Well, that was one of the people that asked was Jesse Scott on Facebook. So yeah, it's a good question, Jesse.
And it's important to have both, to be able to do both, because it creates different products. The taste profiles are different.
So there is a taste difference.
Oh
between
yeah,
the
absolutely.
stills. I mean, there's a few people that ask that too. Is there a taste difference or between a pot still and a column still?
Yeah, absolutely. There are differences, and it's based on the cuts that we take on the tail end and the front end of the distillation.
Yeah, makes sense. All right. Oh, yeah, get up here. So this is like a little.
Yeah, we're going to walk over to our bigger still operation.
So that was 250 gallons. This one is, remind us.
We've got about, let's see, 3, 4, 5, 6 stills over here, and they're all different sizes, but our biggest still is about a 60,000 gallon capacity, and that's the one we run, you know, 24/7.
It's like a little maze back here.
Yeah, it's just a shortcut to get us back to the still house.
All right.
We just kind of separate these. These are wide spots in a pipe. We take all of our beer, we run it through our beer still, and again, that's a 7-foot diameter still. It's the biggest in the industry. And we're running that and distilling off the alcohol and condensing, and that's what this sample would be. And then we drop it into a pot downstairs, and we do a second distillation. We call it a doubler, and then that second distillation is here. And so it's just a place for us to sample, view the flow, and make sure the quality's good.
So this is the first run, and then this is the second run.
Right.
Just as simple as that. Okay.
Yep. So 2 times distilled. So we got about, you want to taste it at home?
Yeah.
That's moonshine straight off the still.
And how many? What would the proof be on that?
It's about 100 right now. It's about 130 proof.
Okay.
But we'll cut that back into a barrel. The barrels will be different proof depending on the recipe. They can be anywhere between, let's say, 114 proof, all the way up to 125 proof, which is a limit for bourbon whiskey.
Yeah, we did have a question about that, and sorry I don't see her name right now, but something came up a little earlier about cutting it before it goes in the barrel. So
yeah, so it'll come off the still. Let's say some of our recipes are higher proof, say 140 proof, coming off the still, and then we'll add purified clean water and bring that down to 125 proof, and then put that in the barrel. That's just the limit, the legal limit of bourbon in order to be called a bourbon whiskey. And really, that's a good proof, and the reason that was selected is because of the flavors that come out of that barrel. It's kind of an ideal proof for that. So that happens to be the regulation, but it's probably based on science originally.
And that's what you prefer too. So
right.
Yeah, okay. So these tail boxes, we've shown this before, but I don't think both of them were running, but I guess they would have been.
Yeah, probably were.
Yeah.
We don't shut them down much.
Yeah, okay. So that is a giant. How tall is this one? This beer
about
still?
30 foot, about 30 foot tall. We got 7 foot diameter.
7 feet. And we're about halfway up right now, looks like. Yeah, that's huge.
And inside that column, there's trays inside that column. The bubble, or not bubble, but perforated trays inside there. And as that alcohol goes in the top, then we add steam to the bottom. And as its steam passes through that tray, then the alcohol is vaporized, and that's where we separate the alcohol from the mash. That's a little different than like the beer guys. They're keeping everything into the system. We're actually separating the solids and the mash from the alcohol in this step.
Got it.
And then we've also got next to it our vodka column, where that, again, we run that as needed, but it's got 32 trays in it, a lot more trays. It allows us to get the proof. We can take the proof on the beer still up to about 150 proof, 160. But on this one, we can take it all the way up to 192 plus. And so it allows us to make a really good clean vodka in that still.
It's one of my favorite spots out here.
Yeah.
Thing looks nice.
Of course, everything that goes into the still has to come out, right? So we're putting a lot of mash, a lot of fermenters. We're pumping thousands and thousands of gallons of beer through the beer still, and all that beer goes in and falls out of the bottom after we strip the alcohol out, and that's what's behind the still house. We've got we call them setback tanks, where we take that and then separate that with a screen, and that screen allows us to take some of it and put it back in the fermenter, and some of it goes down. We make a cattle feed out of it.
Gotcha. Let me
So
show
we
this
have,
a little bit.
so we basically have zero waste.
Some might recognize the old Taylor House over there too, and Pompeii's just over the
Yep, that's our
over the
first.
roof.
That's our first structure on the site, and built in the late 1700s. And
You see a little peek of the Kentucky River in the background there.
yeah, got a little snow on the ground still.
A little bit of snow. That's what I was telling folks last week on Wednesday. It was ice and snow covered around here. Now it's 64 degrees.
So, like I say, all the mash that goes into the still then comes out the bottom, and we run it across a screen, and the thinner stuff will fall through the screen, and we use that as a setback, and that's how we make sour mash.
Got it.
That's
You
the
use that again.
That's the secret to our sour mash, is the consistency and recipe of that setback that we use in our sour mash. And then the thicker product goes across into the tank, and then we dry that into a feed. And the cattle, that has high protein and good fat, fiber.
I bet cattle farmers love that.
So while we're here, I've talked a lot about our expansion and all the work that we're doing to continue to expand. And the still's doing great. We're running it 7 days a week, make a lot of products, but the problem is it's still not enough. And so we're in the middle of a $200 million expansion of our operations, and right next to us, if you pan down, is our new still house. So we're right beside our current still house. We're in the middle of expanding it, and we're going to add a duplicate still just like the one we have. So we'll have 2 7-foot stills. We'll have another doubler, so we'll be up to 11 stills after this is completed, and then we'll be able to, of course, distill more and make more product.
It's like concrete going in today. That's an exciting day.
Yeah, the concrete foundations are going in, and steel will be coming in soon. And
what's the timeline on a project this size?
Right now, this building should be completed by January of 2023.
23.
Yeah.
So not next year.
Yeah, not next year.
Wow.
We'll be running it January of 23.
Got it. I mean, it's a big project. You see how
Hopefully
big this,
sooner, but
yeah, you see how
that's
big
the timeline.
this structure is, and you're going to basically match the size of this.
We are.
Right here.
It's going to be a duplicate operation. We're kind of happy with what we're getting, so we're going to duplicate it.
Yeah, so you can kind of see the view up here is amazing. The back of the Elmer T. Lee Clubhouse, the iconic water tower, the gift shop up there, and all the nice rick houses. You might be able to see some of the farm up there too. That's really cool. All right, so I've got a few questions here, but while I'm digging around, anything you want to add, or?
Well, we're just we're trying to be versatile. We're trying to make a lot of products, and we're trying to expand. So we're just trying to meet the demand, and that's what we're focused on over the next 2 or 3 years at least.
Yeah, sounds like it. Brandon Webb on Facebook does ask, are there different stills for different labels? And I'm assuming he means the different bourbons, but maybe walk us through.
Yeah, I mean, of course, the bourbons, all of our bourbons and whiskeys go through the same still. So we do a few things the same, like yeast and barrels, but the stills are the same still for all the whiskeys. And then we use, of course, the different stills depending on what we're trying to make. So if we're trying to make a vodka, we're going to run through the vodka still, purify that, make it clean. And then, of course, the experimental still I showed you for the smaller products.
Yeah, that makes sense. And Nicholas Powers has a lot of great questions. He also asks about the differences between the stills, but he also asks, you mentioned double distilling and triple distilling. What's the biggest difference there? He's asking about distillation.
You could single distill whiskeys, but the problem is, especially in a beer still, in case you get any kind of carryover or any kind of things that to get a good clean product at the end, you want to put that in. What we do is we double distill it and put it in that pot still, and it's a non-contact, so that steam's not contacting the whiskey, and that way you can get a good clean whiskey when you distill it. So it's really a polishing step on your distillation.
And you're not distilling 8, 10, 12 times on your bourbons.
On the bourbons is twice, and then some of the vodkas we do distill 10 times. So it just depends on the flavor and the taste profile that we're after, because the more times you distill it, you'll get a slightly different effect on it.
Question I think most people are curious about is the technology. Really since you've been here, it sounds like there's been a lot of expansions since day one. Is that the biggest difference over time since you've been here, is technology, or what else? Yeah,
there has been a lot of new technology, but the one thing we've done is preserved all of our technology from the past, because this still was put in 1956, and a lot of the operation and process hasn't changed since they put it in. And what we did is we brought in new technology to preserve that process. And so we're managing it tighter, the consistency's better, and that way we can preserve that process because we're happy with that flavor. And that's a really important part of it. We didn't bring in and change the process, we just preserved it.
Oh, that means, yeah, that explains a lot, honestly.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Well, I'm going to pan back over on the construction crew over here and just see a little bit more.
Get blown off here.
Yeah, the wind's picking up. We're right here next to the river. But thanks, Harlen. Yeah, appreciate it.
It's good.
Yeah, it's a huge project. And if you get to visit the distillery, you'll be able to see where this is, but you can't really come in and check it out anymore right now. But you'll be able to see the barricades and things like that. But a lot of progress, a lot more whiskey coming.